Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to share this one with you because, well, we're unpacking a true medical mystery today. We're looking at a tiny, microscopic invader that hides right out in the open. I mean, have you ever thought about the hidden dangers lurking out in the woods, or maybe even in your own backyard? Today, we're talking about a fascinating and, honestly, highly dangerous tick parasite. It causes a disease that sounds incredibly exotic, but as you'll see, it might be a whole lot closer to home than you think.
Okay, let's dive right into this with a pretty huge question. Can a tick bite actually cause a disease like malaria? Usually when we think about ticks, our minds go straight to Lyme disease, right? And when we think about malaria, we picture mosquitoes in tropical climates. But what if I told you there is a parasite carried by everyday ticks that attacks your body in almost the exact same way malaria does? To figure this out, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll meet the tick parasite. Second, we'll see exactly how it attacks blood. Third, we'll look at the signs you are sick. Fourth, we'll do some detective work finding the Maltese cross. And finally, number 5, we'll learn how to cure it. All right, let's get right to it with Chapter 1, Meet the Tick Parasite. Let's find out who the true culprit really is. By definition, babesiosis is a tick-borne illness where parasites destroy your red blood cells. To use really simple, plain English here, we aren't talking about a bacteria or a virus. It's actually a protozoa, specifically one called Babesia microti. And a protozoa is basically just a microscopic, single-celled animal. This tiny animal has one main goal, and that is to find your red blood cells, move inside of them, and completely destroy them.
So how does this parasite actually spread to you? There are 3 main ways. Number 1 is a bite from an infected Causative tick. These are those exact same tiny, hard ticks that spread Lyme disease. But number 2 is the really shocking part, receiving infected blood from a transfusion. Because this parasite actually lives inside human red blood cells, it can literally be passed from one person to another through donated blood. Now, number 3 on our list is that very rarely it can pass from a mother to her baby. But honestly, that blood transfusion fact, that is a massive wake-up call for the entire medical community.
Let's move to Chapter 2 and see how this all builds, how it attacks blood. Once this parasite gets inside you, what's its game plan?
The attack itself happens in 3 specific steps. Step 1, the parasite enters your red blood cells. It breaks right through that outer wall and hides safely inside. Step 2, the parasite multiplies inside. So one parasite becomes 2, 2 become 4, and they're basically treating your blood cell like a giant incubator. Finally, step 3, the red blood cells break apart. They literally burst open because there are just too many parasites packed inside. In the medical world, doctors call this bursting hemolytic anemia. But in simple terms, it just means your blood cells are breaking apart way faster than your body can make new ones.
And this brilliantly illustrates a really crucial difference between babesiosis and the disease it mimics. For babesiosis, notice that there is no liver stage. It attacks the blood directly. Malaria, on the other hand, actually has a liver stage first before it ever goes to the blood. So while both of these diseases destroy your blood cells and make you feel absolutely terrible, the tick parasite goes straight for the blood right from the jump, completely bypassing the liver.
With all that microscopic destruction happening inside your veins, your body's obviously going to send out some major warning signals. Which brings us to Chapter 3, Signs You Are Sick.
When your red blood cells are under attack, your body throws up some major red flags. The most common signs are fever with chills and just profound fatigue and weakness. You feel incredibly tired simply because you're losing the very red blood cells that carry energy-giving oxygen all around your body. But then we have the severe signs, like jaundice, which is yellow skin, and dark urine. Why does that happen? Well, when your red blood cells burst open, they spill all their inner pigments directly out into your body. That spilled pigment literally turns your skin yellow and turns your urine dark. It is a direct, visible result of those bursting blood cells we were just talking about.
So the crucial point we really need to understand here is the high risk for specific people. People without a spleen or folks with weak immune systems get much, much sicker. Your spleen acts kind of like a giant blood filter. Its whole job is to catch and remove infected or damaged blood cells. If you had your spleen removed, a splenectomy, your body essentially loses its main defense against this parasite. For these high-risk patients, babesiosis is not just a tough fever, it can literally be a life-threatening emergency.
So if a patient comes into the clinic with a fever, yellow skin, and terrible fatigue, how do doctors actually prove it's this tick parasite? Welcome to Chapter 4, Finding the Maltese cross.
The absolute gold standard for figuring this out is putting a drop of the patient's blood on a glass slide and looking under a microscope. And what the doctors are hunting for is called the Maltese cross. This is literally a cross-shaped fingerprint left by the parasite directly inside the red blood cells. As the parasite multiplies inside the cell, 4 of them arrange themselves into a perfect little cross or tetrad shape. If a doctor looks through that microscope and spots that tiny cross inside a red blood cell, boom, the mystery is solved. They know exactly what they're up against.
But, sometimes there just aren't enough parasites to easily spot that cross. So, doctors have backup detective tests. Test number 1 is PCR. This is the most sensitive test because it actually hunts down the specific DNA of the parasite itself. Number 2 is serology. This test detects the antibodies that your body made while it was trying to fight off the invader. Between the microscope, the DNA test, and the antibody test, doctors can reliably track this parasite down.
Okay, the doctor spotted it. Now it's time to fight back. Let's move to our final chapter, how to cure it.
The treatment plan really depends entirely on how severe the infection is. For mild to moderate cases, doctors usually go with a combination of 2 drugs, atovaquone and azithromycin. These medicines work together to knock out the parasite. Now, what's truly intense is how we handle the severe cases. Here, doctors have to use much stronger drugs, clindamycin and quinine. But there's another intervention that's sometimes needed here, a full blood exchange transfusion. Remember how we said people without a spleen can get dangerously sick? In those extreme situations where the blood is completely overwhelmed by parasites, doctors literally have to drain the patient's infected blood out of their body and pump fresh, clean, uninfected blood back in just to save their life. It's a pretty incredible medical procedure.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer today and leaves us with a really provocative question to think about. With tick spreading, how safe is our blood supply from hidden parasites? If this parasite can survive inside a donated bag of blood, and if tick populations are expanding more and more every single year, how do we keep our hospitals safe? It's a huge problem that scientists and doctors are trying to solve right now. So keep an eye out next time you go into the woods, remember the warning signs, and never stop asking questions. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.